Okay, here are some tips and tricks learned from yesterday's team time trial on Zwift. So let's just start off. And here we are in a formation, and what's going to happen in a second is the line's going to get strung out. So we have possibly too hard attack on the front. What that does do is it creates space for the riders to move into. So as of right now, it was sort of 3 abreast. And as we're coming around the corner, the space and the acceleration creates the line. So we're sort of falling into a lovely formation here. What to not do is to try and be in too close a line, because then what happens is you get side by side like this. The space between this rider here and this rider here is fine. We don't have to panic and try and close that gap down. So now we've settled into probably the best line of the whole race. So that's just showing that you don't need to be mega close. This is very effective. You see the draft here, 160%, and it doesn't massively increase as you get closer to the rider in front. So just don't panic and let it string out a little. This clip we're calling Look Behind You. So as you see here, I'm coming through. I'm slightly out of position, but after number 1, who is in the front, you see here number 1 is pulling. I am number 2, so it should be my turn next. And he's going to call change. And here I come through the group. So the important thing to do when you're in this position here, I'm putting down 4.9 watts per kilo. The key is to not put down 6-7 watts per kilo and then ride off into the sunset. It'll make you look very strong. It will also make your teammates hate you, and they'll all have to do the same amount of work to catch you, and therefore you're not actually giving them the benefit of a draft. So here I come through, and that is the learning of this video, is to use the number 6 or the look behind you button to actually look. So here we're just monitoring what happens as the power gets put down. Are they all there? Is there a gap? And potentially, are they all in a line? If they're not in a line, potentially you can give them some advice or accelerate to create some more space. And it's looking not too bad at the moment. Next up, we have an example of a change. So I'm on the front, and I think I'm going to 45. So in about 5 seconds time, I'll be counting down 3, 2, 1, and then backing off the power completely. See here, the power's gone. Watch until they start coming through and then get back on the power. And a lot of people would potentially panic at this moment, but what you see here is you've got 133% draft. You don't need to panic at all. It looks like I'm going to still go backwards. I'm not putting down big power. I'm not panicking too much at all. Just trust in the draft. If what you do here is you hammer the pedals, you're going to shoot up in front and knock other people out of the way and disrupt the line. And as you see now, back on, no worries at all. And this is an example of just shuffling around, getting into order. So what we have here is Hawkins, who's number 6. It doesn't say here, but he's number 6. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, who are 1, 2, 3, 4 out of shot, and 5 just there. So we're going to try and get 6 off the front, and then become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 just finishing his pull. Okay, so he's pulled off, and I put a bit of power down just to close this little gap here. So I'm in here. I put too much power. I'm holding 1 out into the wind. So now we go 1, 2, 3, 4. What we have here is everyone's just panicking ever so slightly. So we're all bunching up, and that creates side by side instead of a straight line. So 3 doesn't have time space to pull in behind me because 4 is behind him, and similar with 5. So if we can all just back off slightly, we can get into a nice line. And what you'll see here is I just go slightly closer to 1. 3 is then able to pull in, and then we have... I don't think I do a look behind, but what we end up with, here we go, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a perfectly straight ordered line. That's something of a miracle, but that's what you should be aiming to achieve. All right, this video, I'm just coming through to take a pull. What quality is this? This looks low. Okay. I'm coming through to take a pull. And I do the look behind. And what you see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all in a horizontal line behind me. This would be ideal if we were sipping champagne on the Champs-Elysees, but for saving energy in the draft, we have 1, 2 riders for sure not getting any, and 3, 2 of which are getting less than they could if they were just there and just there. As I say, it's very hard. Sometimes you've gone over the brow of a hill and it's all stacked together, and it's just starting to string out. But let's see, does it get into a line? No, we've still got the Champs-Elysees celebration going on. Now we've got at least 2 lines, so that's preferable. And now almost everyone's getting a better draft. Right, this next video, we have 4 on the front, so 5 is going to be coming through. Again, slightly out of position, but as long as you know after 4 is 5, there's no big drama. We're in a decent line here, and let's play and see what happens. So we've got 4 just on the driving, and then he's going to pull off. So 4 pulls off. And what you see here is 5 is putting down 7.5 watts per kilo. That is potentially not the smoothest transition. And what that's going to do is increase the speed at the front. 4, bear in mind, is going backwards. So he is currently doing... We're doing 46, it might be going 48 at the front. He's currently doing maybe 41. So he's going to have to re-accelerate up to the speed of the group. And if the group accelerates while he's doing that, he's going to have to put in almost the equal to a pull that he's just done. So let's see what happens. We've got 5 laying down big watts on the front. And he's slowly pulling away from the group. So as you see here, this is the groups tab on source. So we have our group of 6. The average power in the group is 4.5 watts per kilo. We're trying to match/catch the front rider, and very little draft for number 2. And we've got side by side because we're all kind of panicking. So watching this here, we've got 5 watts per kilo average in the group, 4.9. And what's happening here is the guy at the front is pulling hard, but none of us are getting any benefit from that. And in fact, we're all working as hard as he is. Another clip. What you see here is the rider in pink is going to be coming through. It's his turn. He's doing a nice smooth 5.1. The group averaging 3.5. But you see here the numbers are going up. So the group is pushing. And what's happening is we should have, he's 6, so we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 behind. 1 is here. And 2 is here, 3 is here, 4 and 5. So we're not quite in the right order. Let's see what happens. So what seems to be happening here is there's been a small gap at the front, created again just on the change. It wasn't too hard to pull, but just the change in pace on the front. And we all seem to want to be on his wheel. What should be happening is one should be there, two, and then the other two dropping back. At this point, you have to trust in the draft, and because there's already a gap, we're all a little bit reluctant to back off. So what you end up with is 4 people all in a line across the road. And again, none of us really getting a massive draft. I'm getting 71%. It would be in the 150, 160s at least if I was behind him. And similar, probably these two getting no draft at all. All right, this is actually a continuation of the previous clip. So I'm closing this gap down. At this stage, your team should trust that you're in a line, and if there is somebody in front who is giving you a draft, don't worry about what they're dealing with in front of them. So I've got a gap here that I'm closing down. What we don't want is somebody else panicking and trying to help me close the gap down unless I call for help, and then jumping into this space here, coming out of order, etc. So you'll see here we've got 96% draft even at this distance. I'm not panicking too much, just slowly going to close that down. But what happens is the group behind, as I say, is getting a bit twitchy, and they want to close that gap down as well. So just watch what's happening here. Is the rider behind is pushing more power than me, and the way that Zwift works is if the rider behind pushes more power, it moves the rider in front to the side so that the rider behind can get through. And if you watch what that's doing to my draft number, so I've gone from 98 to 78. And it's coming back up as I'm being given more space. But then, again, this gap here closes. I get pushed out, and we're down to in the 60s of draft. So that's just an example of how, despite not being that close, the way that Zwift works is it'll push you out of the line just by putting too much power behind a rider. Okay, this clip, unfortunately, is going to show a rider being dropped. So we have number 4 on the front, 5 in position, 1, 2, and 3. So the order's perfect, and number 4 is just finishing his pull. And let's see what happens. So back comes number 4. Once again, we see number 5 out of the saddle. On Zwift means more than twice FTP. I don't know what numbers we're seeing, 8 watts per kilo. That's going to cause a problem, because that's going to cause a big acceleration at the front. Ideally, what you want to be doing is the same speed. So the power obviously will go up when you lose the draft of the guy coming backwards, but you don't need to panic. So a little bump in power just to make sure that you go past the rider in front and then back to your agreed wattage on the front. So what's happening here is 4 is going backwards, 5 is going forwards. Not too bad at the moment. We've got 5, 1, 2, 3 is panicking and being too close to the front as well. So 3 and 4, once 4 comes off the front, 3's job is to give him a draft, so he can recover on the back of the line. And what we see here is instead 3 is on second wheel. He's potentially going to push 1 out of the way. And 4, who's just done the pull, remember, is going backwards. We have the correct line of 5. We've lost 6 at this moment, so it goes 5, 1, 2. And then there is, if you see behind me, there's a 6-meter gap. So there is the perfect amount of space for number 3 to just stop pedaling and pull into this gap, and then give number 4 the perfect draft, and we'd be in a great line. Instead, what happens is 3 is still out of position, and this gap is growing here behind. The guy who's just done the pull, come off the front, is getting for sure certainly less draft than this 137 that I'm getting, which is causing him to go backwards. He can't do anything about closing the gap. The only way that the gap could be closed is by either the whole group slowing down or somebody going back for him at this point. And that's what I'm attempting to do here, but it's too late. So we've now lost a rider. So hopefully all those clips have helped just clarify that there is an art to the TTT on Zwift, and it's potentially different to real life. Obviously, you have no brakes, but with correct application of the right power at the right times, it can be done. Right, good luck, everyone.